Hi, welcome back to my channel. My name is Carter Walker. Love talking about movies, music, games, and comics. If you're interested in any of that, feel free to stick around. Also, if my head is cut off, I'm sorry. I'm using a new stand for my tripod. It's this box, the Spider-Man animated series bust. Freaking sick. I'm 12 years old. Let's go. But yeah, and also I'm using my new mic because I went and bought a connector for it. So let's go. I'm still trying to figure out how to use it. Don't really know where to hold it, so we'll figure that out. I just wanted to do a quick review of Avatar: Way of Water, second Avatar movie. I just saw it. I really wasn't planning on seeing it. I was not excited for this movie. Really don't care for the first Avatar as much as I really love James Cameron's films. Just wasn't interested in seeing this one, but one of my roommates convinced me to see it, so I decided to check it out. And this is my review. So just a little bit of background about me and James Cameron's films. I think it's important that you guys are aware of the fact that I really do love James Cameron. I think he's a wonderful filmmaker. My camera's crooked. I think he's a wonderful filmmaker, made a lot of great movies that I adore. I'm a big fan of Terminator, Terminator 2, True Lies, Aliens. I think those are all great movies he's done a wonderful job with. You can tell he puts a ton of care and effort into his craft. He's an amazing director, wonderful writer. Really enjoy a lot of the stuff that he makes. I really wasn't a fan of the first Avatar. It just didn't entice me. Not my cup of tea. I understand that surprisingly a lot of people like it. I mean, it's the highest grossing movie of all time, but you never hear people talk about it. But people really do like that movie, so cool. Good job, James. Wasn't interested in seeing this movie, but seeing that as I'm a big James Cameron fan and that all the reviews that came out for this were like insanely positive, I wanted to go check it out. But yeah, let's get right into it. So starting out with the positives, I think this is a very, very gorgeous movie. One of the most beautiful blockbusters I've ever seen for sure. All the effects are wonderful, the CGI, the VFX, everything you're seeing on screen is incredible. It looks phenomenal, especially the things with the water. I heard James Cameron invented like new technology to film the CGI scenes underwater. Whatever it was, it worked out wonderfully. I think it looks beautiful. Pretty much everything in this movie that is CGI or just anything effects just looks incredible. Super lifelike, especially at the end. I think the effects definitely get better as time goes on, to where at the end you can see like the water droplets running down the faces of the blue people. I think the Na'vi. And I think it just looks incredible. Very, very gorgeous. Very, very incredible movie when it comes to visuals. Cameron knocked it out of the park again. He usually does when it comes to, those visual effects, that CGI. He's definitely known to be a pioneer for things like that, and I think he definitely held it up to his end of the bargain. I think it looks incredible here. Another big positive that I can give here is the action. The action is helmed wonderfully. I think it looks incredible. It looks very gorgeous. And when the action finally kicks in to the points of the movie, it's definitely to the benefit where the movie's getting a little slow and then the action scenes come in, specifically at the end of the first act and then the end of the movie where the big action scenes are. I think they look amazing. They're very brutal, which I do love. I love good old brutal action in PG-13 or R-rated movies. It's my favorite kind. Can't go wrong with it, but I think it's very well shot, very well choreographed. The effects are all, astounding. Not much I can say there about that you won't be surprised at, but yeah, I think the action and the effects are amazing. Easily the best parts of this movie. Definitely a very big spectacle. And another positive that I'll give to the movie was one of the characters was written, I think in my opinion, very, very well. It was Jake's younger son. I honestly don't know the names of the characters. I'm gonna be honest right now. I know there's like Jake Sully and Nitri, and there's a kid named Spider. That was weird. Other than that, I don't know the names of the characters. Like, I feel bad. I know they're on Pandora. There's just so many characters, so much going on, and you'll see further in my review what I thought of that. But it's just hard to remember all the characters' names. But Jake's youngest son, I think he does a really good performance. He is also written very well. He's written to be, kind of like an outcast. He's like the rebellious child. He's like always doing his own thing, wants to prove to his family and to himself that he's like a true Sully, that he's like a warrior, very brave. And I thought, his predicament in the movie was very interesting, especially for Avatar, where the first movie has a very simple plot that's been done before. And, this movie doesn't have a very complex plot. It's very simple, but I thought the character of Jake's younger son was very well done, very interesting, easily my favorite character in the movie by far. And you can definitely see like the reason for all his actions. If he ever does anything stupid or foolish, you can see why. But honestly, that kind of rounds out my positives. I was very underwhelmed by this movie. I wasn't really excited for it, so I can't say I was disappointed. I was just underwhelmed. I heard a lot of great things about it, and so I bought my ticket last night, went and saw it, and as the movie went on and on and on, I was like, wow, this is what people are raving about? Like, I just don't see it. Going on to the mixed, one of the biggest mixed bags in this movie was the characters. I did not think they were written very well. I didn't think they were portrayed very well. There's so many of them that it's hard to keep track of. And James Cameron brings back 2 dead characters from the first movie, just kind of for funsies, because he likes the actors, I'm sure. And they do a good job in this movie with their portrayals, but it's just weird. It just doesn't make the movie, it doesn't make the consequences of the first one really sink in. Like, it's a cool idea, like, oh, let's bring them back, because there's avatars for them too. And it just doesn't really work out. Sigourney Weaver's character has like a good role in the movie, but a lot of her writing just really isn't that great, as you'll see later on what I thought about that. But yeah, the characters really just didn't do it for me. The story didn't do it for me. I wasn't interested in what was happening. I wasn't interested in the characters on screen. I thought it was very meh from a writing standpoint at best. A lot of the characters just get sidelined for a big portion of the movie. I think just because there's so much going on and that James Cameron just didn't really know what to focus on for parts of the movie and wanted to have a sequel set up, like a story thread for a sequel here, and then back to the main plot here on the villain side, and then back to the kids on this side, and then we haven't really seen Jake do anything except be a terrible father to his kids, so we have to go back and see him, suck at being a dad again just for fun, and then we have to go see what Nitru's up to. She's just, weaving some baskets, just doing whatever. All right, we'll come back to her in the third act. It just doesn't really work for me at all. I thought that was very mixed. The only reason it's in the mix is because, again, of Jake's son. Another mixed, I say the only other mixed for me would be the pacing, and this is definitely more on the bad mixed side. The pacing in this movie just isn't good. When it's good, it's great. When the pacing is snip, snap, when the action's happening and there's character beats going on, it's very well done. And in the third act, the pacing is pretty good. Everything before that, pacing sucks. I did not enjoy the pacing. I think it's paced awfully. It's basically like, recap of Avatar 1, getting you set back up with exposition, little action scene, more exposition, big end of first act action scene, big status quo change, and then montage, and really boring stuff, more boring stuff, more montages, more boring stuff. What are the villains up to? More boring stuff, just for the montage. Carter checking his phone, texting his girlfriend, how's she doing? She's doing pretty good. Caleb goes to get a drink, and Jackson just kind of sitting there hanging out in his chair, and people in the theater are just kind of like hanging out. 2 hours go by, and finally the bad guys are back for the big finale. It wasn't that bad. I'm exaggerating, but still, for me it just didn't work overall as a movie. Getting into the negatives now, I don't think the movie was very good. It definitely wasn't worth the 13-year wait or the 20-plus years James Cameron dedicated of his career to it. In my opinion, of course, I know many people feel differently. I just wish James Cameron would go back to either something he's done before, like the Terminator or Alien franchise, or made something new, because he was always very good at that. I just don't think the Avatar movies are very interesting to me. I don't think I'll check out the third one if there is a third one. I don't think I'll ever rewatch 1 or 2. I just am not interested in seeing them. I don't think this was written very well at all. A lot of the writing, like I mentioned before, very all over the place, probably because of the abundance of characters. And you can tell Cameron wants to set up a lot of story threads for the sequels, and so some of the time is spent doing that, especially with Sigourney Weaver's character. There's a lot of plot threads there that just don't get resolved, and it leaves her character kind of feeling unfulfilled at the end of the movie. Her arc feels very rushed. One of Jake's sons gets no arc or development at all. The other one gets a very big amount of development. Their youngest daughter is just kind of there to be captured. Jake doesn't really get development besides learning how not to suck at being a dad. Nitri gets a little development. Everyone else is just kind of there to yell and hang out. The pacing, like I mentioned in my mixed, isn't very good. When it's good, it's good. When it's bad, it's awful. The writing is awful. I did not laugh at a joke in the movie. I barely even cracked a smile. The only time I kind of smiled is when there's a little bit of like awkward teenage humor that's relatable because one of Jake's sons is trying to hit one of the sea people, I think is what they're called. I mean, it's funny, but it's just like, oh yeah, cool. I guess I didn't expect this, but okay. The characters, again, terrible. The writing, terrible. Pacing, terrible. James Cameron could have cut off, you know, maybe 20-30 minutes off this movie, and I think it would have gone up a lot higher for me. There's so much unneeded fat in this movie. There's so much unnecessary scenes and extended scenes of dialogue or extended scenes of swimming, just showing off the effects. It's cool, but why? I mean, I understand James Cameron wants to show off what he's been able to do, what he and the VFX team have been able to create. There's moments for that in the movie where definitely it's like, okay, good job. Like, I can see why you'd want to show that off. But when they're swimming for multiple scenes, or when they're hunting whales for like 20-30 minutes, it just doesn't make sense. I just didn't care for it. So yeah, overall, this movie was not my cup of tea. I do not recommend it. I'd give it probably like a 5 out of 10, like 2.5 stars. I really just wasn't a fan. I wish I was. I love James Cameron as a filmmaker, but I think, like the first Avatar, this is just going to be one of his movies that I just don't ever revisit again. Yeah, poor plot, poor story, poor pacing, poor characters, poor writing, amazing effects, amazing action. It's directed incredibly well, but everything else just kind of falls flat. So yeah, that's my review for Avatar 2, guys. If you're interested in seeing more reviews, or if you're interested in any rankings or music or comic content or games, feel free to subscribe, like, and let me know down in the comments below. If you saw Avatar 2, what did you think about it? I'm very interested to see what other people have to say. As far as I'm aware, I really haven't had a friend or anyone else that I know see this besides my 2 roommates. So I'd love to start some conversations with you guys down below in the comments. If you have any video ideas or anything like that, again, leave it down in the comments below. Take care and have a wonderful rest of your day.